Listen. I walk with a flame like Flocker, the cock proper. One shot to have you niggas screaming like the opera. It's black like Oprah, straight King Cobra. Top left over your heart, shoots through the shoulders. It burns like second degree, but who's stepping to me? Please free, right hand when I get checked on 3. Rich niggas move calm and collective. That chain ain't shit unless your palm can protect it. My palm can protect mine, empty up the tech line. I don't give a fuck about jail, I'll do 10 time. Feds find your body in the building cause we killed you. Like who is realer? Got tools like Bob the Builder. All I really wanted was a gun and a vest. Like who's next? To get shot in my complex and I'm straight stressed. Rob money when time's less. I'll take a nigga's test or leave a nigga's timeless. I grew up with no motivation. Drive right past the cops and investigations. Pump with no registration. Put me over like sir, we're arresting you. Shotgun, stolen car and cats off the register. You say tomato, well I say tomato. West End Toronto squirt heat like volcano. I must confess my life ain't picture perfect. Was on top, got knocked, now fucking hurting. All I got left is pride and my dignity. And a finger in the middle if you ain't digging me. My family matters, the big guy, car Winslow. Minus the badge with big straps, glass windows. Spin cool like the side of the pillow. I search shots like the fox in the fucking fiddle. Don't know your name, so you better take it slow, dog. Yo, MCA, where the fuck's Kane and no dog? You little faggots better run up, cause I won't stop till the zipper on my body bag is done up. Heard you got drugs, then Jeezy's gon' pick up. Roll up with his lip up, big pump, this a sick up. 7-5 block, bust shots, you'll get lit up. Beat backs like a hiccup, burn laps like a sit up, nigga.
I should roll this into 2. See all that resin? Probably not. What is there? That's from my 3-egg sandwich. My beef patty. Oh, I eat. I know you people hate. Some of y'all.
Welcome to the Cousin Z Show.
Ain't gonna stop me from eating out yet.
Get the gas mask. One deep rap.
I thought it said all Negro. It says Allegro. I didn't notice.
Enjoy the past week. Lucky wow.
I break the mostest.
Cause I make it hotter than a toaster.
Check my name out on all the posters. When I hit the stage, drinks hit the coasters. Women packed all the way to the 3rd row. We ain't in the strip club, but call it Perv Row. I don't know what you heard, ho. I'ma tell you straight, baby. I'm a surf pro, running game like a pimp, bitch. Yeah, I'm running game with a limp, bitch. The big dog gonna teach you some tricks, bitch. Get out there, catch a date, and stack my chips, bitch.
Get the gas mask. Get the gas mask. One deep rappers. Where your ass at? You went last week. Enjoy the past week. Must be why our music's everlasting.
The future, track bruisers. Caught the beat in the back of the cruiser. Fuck the game up, Kama Sutra. In my Red Rover, I will run right through ya. Growl on the mic like a beast should. Go hard on the beat to Clint Eastwood. Walk on water, everybody knew he would. Written in the scriptures, scholars knew he could. On my own,
Call me
Julius
Jesus.
Caesar. Take away my world, I only need her. What you coming? Only wanna be heard. The phoenix shall rise upon my return. Get the gas mask when we spark that.
How much was it?
I think we parked
The
that.
gas mask. Get the gas mask. One deep rappers. Where your ass at? You went last week. Enjoy the past week. Must be why our music's everlasting. Get the gas mask. Get the gas mask. One deep
I'm gonna have to re-roll
rappers.
this shit,
Where your
man.
ass at? You went
You're gonna
last
fucking
week.
burn it.
Enjoy the past week. Must be why our music's
I thought I was prepared,
I
but
go
not.
Coco, so loco.
Rubbing my gums with.
Yeah, don't know. I'm so pro. Go so slow in a low. Twisting like Toto. Oh no.
Nigga, this my nigga, so I shot it up dolo.
Even the G's love me, no homo. With the crew, that's a no-no. I'm hydro when I flow. When I flow, it's tidal. Surf the beat, watch my roll. Grab the mic, kick hard like Tybo.
One team rappers, where your ass at? You and last Put you past that. One deep rappers, where you rap at? You can last week, enjoy the past week.
I just want you to hear this one.
What are you except the last week?
I know I played it a couple times. But...
Hello. This call is from the Tax Department of Canada Revenue Agency. The reason behind this call is that there is a case, a lawsuit, that is getting filed under your name. The
You want a
moment you
Canadian
receive
joke? I'm
this
gonna
message,
fuck you up,
I
you
need you to
fuckers.
get back to me on my department division number. That is 647-945-9549. I repeat, 647-945-9549. Now, if I don't hear a call from you, we will have to issue an arrest warrant under your name and get you
Even if it was
arrested.
real, I'd
So
flip a
get
bird
back
at
to
that.
me as soon as possible. Thank you.
Okay, don't end the music just yet. I might have let it run all the way up. Uh-oh. You're gonna make me switch over to that shit to make it fucking work. Oh, motherfucker.
Boulette de gazelle, concours ange, il est destiné pour le monde, quoi. C'est qu'on s'arrive, bah, il fait.
When bullets fly by, when bullets fly by, what you gonna do when them bullets fly by? When bullets fly by, when bullets fly by, what you gonna do when them bullets fly by? What you gonna do when them bullets fly by? What you gonna do when them bullets fly by? What you gonna do when them bullets fly by? What you gonna do when them bullets fly by? Pop, pop when you hear the Glock. Tough down, nigga, cause I'm in your spot. Give it up, nigga, you might get shot. I'm the hot shot, so you gonna get shot. Any nigga out here might feel the pop. My 9mm gonna make you drop. I talk about my 9 cause the shit's so hot. When shit goes down, he's ready to pop. He's stressed out, and I'm trigger happy. I gotta take the life and it feels so nasty.
Okay, I'm gonna have to re-roll it. This ain't working, man.
Easy. I'm a nigga with attitude, so fuck you pussy. When bullets fly by, when bullets fly by, what you gonna do when them bullets
This is a
fly
re-roll.
by?
There's too
When
much
bullets
fucking
fly
resin.
by, when bullets fly by, what you gonna do when them bullets fly by? What you gonna do when them bullets fly by? What you gonna do when them bullets fly by? What you gonna do when them bullets fly by? What you gonna do when them bullets fly by? What you gonna do when them bullets fly by? Duck like a goose or snitch to the cops. Me, I cock back, let it go.
Duck like a goose.
Bullets fly by like a breeze in the summer.
But these goose MCs all up in my engines.
R.I.P. and KSP, H.O.T.S.H.O.C. I.G.S.M.E. Yeah, it's me. I let my bullets fly high, shooting at you niggas.
You're
like
running
kites
low
in the
on
sky.
paper.
Blue beans. I'm killing this rap shit. So what you gonna do when my bullets
We'll
fly
count those in
by?
a second, see if they're
When
lying.
bullets fly by, when bullets
I need
fly
two of them,
by,
'cause one
what you
paper's not
gonna
working.
do when them bullets fly by? When bullets fly by, when bullets fly by,
Not that much,
what
but
you
it's too
gonna
fucking
do when
resined
them
up.
bullets fly by? What you gonna do when them bullets fly by? What you gonna do when them bullets fly by? What you gonna do when them bullets fly by? What you gonna do when them bullets fly by?
Yo, clique caca. Vous n'êtes pas les caca, yo.
Everyday niggas talking shit, like they tough in this motherfucking street, but they not, nigga. When the bullets fly by, them niggas tough like bitches. It's your boy, you know, H.O.T.S.H.O.T. Cold Dog, Revolution in Process Records, can't see the zone records. Fuck you niggas. When bullets fly by, when bullets fly by, what you gonna do when them bullets fly by? When bullets fly by, when bullets fly by, what you gonna do when them bullets fly by? What you gonna do when them bullets fly by? What you gonna do when them bullets fly by? What you gonna do when them bullets fly by? What you gonna do when them bullets fly by?
take that little piece too, because I can see it's all oily. Okay, I thought I added some tobacco to this, but maybe I didn't. I don't know, man. That's resin all the hell. It's one of those too much of a good things.
One knock, two knock, three knock, four. No, what's there? So I'm coming in tow. One knock, two knock, three knock, four. I'm not scared, so I'm coming in tow. One knock, two knock, three knock, four. No, what's there? So I'm coming in tow. One knock, two knock, three knock, four. I'm not scared, so I'm coming in tow.
I don't knock, I don't pick locks. I kick doors down and let go shots. Call me hot shot, real life nightmare. And the S, I make niggas cry gangster tears. No alcohol, no beer. Like Freddy, I'll kill you in your nightmares. Where the cash at? Where the stash at? Fuck around, we gon' find where the girl's at. She's in the strip on the floor like the doormat. Break it back to blue sky, cause you know you whack. Bulldogs, let's believe you thinking over rap. This ain't fiction, we taking over rap. 1 crib, 2 crips, 3 crips, 4. Bulldog nigga, 6 bloods on the floor. 1 crips, 2 crips, 3 crips, 4. Bulldog nigga, 6 bloods on the floor. Booyah!
Knock, two knock, three knock, four. No, what's there? So I'm coming in tow. One knock, two knock, three knock, four. I'm not scared, so I'm coming in tow. One knock, two knock, three knock, four. No, what's there? So I'm coming in tow. One knock, two knock, three knock, four. I'm not scared, so I'm coming in tow. Coming in tow. No matter what, better win or better go. Yeah, speaking on the lock for the door. That's a show, cause we know what you got on the stove, on the table, and your money's in the box. So I'm picking on the back, coming through the door, blasting. Shoot no moves, nothing to ask. One bad move, then you get your ass kicked. Yo, I'm not in the mood, so the peace gas. You can see the eyes of a wolf, and I hope you see it. Cold goes around, so your ass is frozen. Wolf, motherfucker, now you about to get defeated. My bad, true bad, you the one who chosen. I know we ain't able to give no options. Not more made for a man on a mission. It's not a good dream or a bad situation. More like a nightmare, you are the victim. One knock, two knock, three knock, four. No, what's there, so I'm coming in tow. One knock, two knock, three knock, four. I'm not scared, so I'm coming in tow. One knock, two knock, three knock, four. No, what's there, so I'm coming in tow. One knock, two knock, three knock, four. I'm not scared, so I'm coming in tow.
That wasn't supposed to happen. You see the difference between the one side to the other? Yeah, that wasn't supposed to happen.
Sit your little bitch ass down, nigga.
You can't spell ball without the AR. Vote me for mayor. Taking helicopters down with a little laser. Hand in cannon, I'm holding bigger than fucking mega. Yaga, the liquor for the shots will make you stagger. For my little brother, it's like he loves my partners. Real body boy, baby, y'all boxes. With this empire, it's nothing like rocks. These are enemy lines, nobody can cross it. How the survivors and in a battle with parts of the strip of shit. So clicks like a bitch's wig fiction. Murder gang sick shit. Got me reading the words as if my victim lip syncs. Fuck. Bitches say murders. Niggas know I'm running through the streets of beef like the Hamburglar with the burner. No food surfing. Yeah, still M3G reppin'. Now sitting in the vehicle, plotting on people. Taking your breath possession like a reaper. Kneeling with the hammer. Call it Tim Tebow. Holding on the hammer. Call it Home Depot. Everything I'm doing is illegal. Everything I'm doing is illegal. Kneeling with the hammer. Call it Tim Tebow. Holding on the hammer. Call it Home Depot. I'm at the bar ordering a Heineken. Waiting for the scene to fall back. I was timing him. Fronting him a couple said he'll check me around 9 or 10. MGK a wild boy. Nigga, we some wild men. Brought together life again. Rifles like the Irishman. Used to call me Benjamin. But Charlie was a rider man. Niggas try to end me for the money. Call a fireman and put my fucking flamer. Go ahead and try it then. By all means, do you. I'm creeping through the field shot with Zulu. Cruising in the Subaru. Murder gang crew punch dogs and give them bubbles. You lose. Tell you what kind of like cool shoes. Listen to Junior receipts to the highest shooters to whack you. Right now, I'd rather smack you. Don't even attempt, I won't dab you. Really, I don't have to. Slap the kids so hard, I put a wonder, call him Matthew. Subliminal. Murder gang squad in the fact I set it up to win no box. You about to follow my dialect. My number, you ain't dial yet. That judge ain't fired. By the end of this track, a motherfucker buying it. That bitch holds gauges and a couple sweaty fries in it. Catch a couple cases, but I'll beat him if I'm hiding it. In the L spot, nigga, know for the kill shot. Cause I'm the nigga that shot Jack and chill out the hilltop. Too. Lil Red Rider Hood was Rider Hood. The song blew her up now. She ain't riding through the hood at all. And Woody Woodpecker was the fag while Batman got shots and panties over his pants. Spidey was the swinger. Wolverine's a nigga that's obvious, so they ain't gotta mention Master Splinter. When I master Shredder in my mask, my temporal blast for cheddar. Trying to look at is better. Yeah, I'm sitting in the vehicle, plotting on people. Taking your prized possession like a reaper. Kneeling with the hammer, call it Tim Tebow. Pulling on the hammer, call it Home Depot. Everything I'm doing is illegal. Everything I'm doing is illegal. Kneeling with the hammer, call it Tim Tebow. Pulling on the hammer, call it Home Depot.
Mix it up a bit more. I'll deal with that tomorrow.
Flyest nigga since kindergarten, liars. Shoot stupid kids been retarded. I make the coke black when I'm in the market. I make the price drop like I'm in the Target. I'm like a holy prophet trying to make a profit. Rough Rider, legendary prospect. I ain't where I'm yet. Shout out my gunman friend, yo. 10-4-5s in my extender. 2 extra clips for the extra shit. They each hold 7, you getting blessed with it. Yeah, I got so much beef, my ex was stressed with it. Why? It was eye for an eye, Old Testament. Word. The bottom of wells, my heart dwells. Treating these waters like shark tails. Word. My homie got lashed, was all bail. I had waved the shit, got tobacco with full bail. The rats used to see me on range and go tell. Catch him at court, stopping with Jordans like Montel. Swear to God, I would never pray to Jesus. For the extras, I'ma skip the Pico. Every day I pay for new AKs, like Pablo. Every day I pay for new AKs, El Chapo. Every day I pay for new AKs, like Pablo. Every day I pay for new AKs, El Chapo. Every day I pay for new AKs, like Pablo. Every day I pay for new AKs, El Chapo. Every day I pay for new AKs, like Pablo. Every day I pay for new AKs. Look, the hottest kid in the kitchen, I've been nice. Thoughts of you double crossing me, think twice. Gold chains, gold in my mouth, case full of ammunition. Cocaine on my nosebleed, that's a Kathy Griffin. Bullets light up the night sky and they blame me, boy. Magnums in the back of the whip, they call me baby, boy. My ATL sending your section 80, boy. Come on. The fuck do you think the mafia pay me for? Young, rich, and handsome, bullets like an anthem. When they started singing, everybody put their hands up. Ain't nobody been doing the shit that I do. Dark boy, how many hoes can I fit inside you? Scratched up with lines around them like the kids of vinyl. Put up with the Mac and fried them like this shit's a drive-thru. Angels will find you, but I would never pray to Jesus. For the extras, I'ma scrape the beaters. Yeah. Every day I pay for new AKs, like Pablo. Every day I pay for new AKs, El Chapo. Every day I pay for new AKs, like Pablo. Every day I pay for new AKs.
On Bay Street. TSX right now up by 31, 17,956. The Dow is down a point. The S&P, which closed at a record yesterday, is up by 2, and the NASDAQ that closed at a record yesterday is down by 10. So overall, the theme here, investors still weighing coronavirus concerns, Japan reporting 2 deaths, and South Korea confirmed its first fatality from the disease. All of this making one wonder, with all the potential headwinds and risks, market's still holding up relatively well. Adam Hennick is investment advisor at Hennick Wealth.
There seems to be an aggressive buying of the dips that has created this 5-month rally we've had. So what does all this mean? It just means that the market really responds mostly to surprise, not consensus. We are all aware of Middle Eastern tensions, the potential for what the coronavirus will bring, but the markets seem to be moving forward with a very positive view based off of strong earnings reports, particularly from the tech giants.
Now we got earnings in from Loblaw today. Fourth quarter profit rose compared to a year earlier, but the parent company of Loblaw's and Shoppers Drug Mart did fall short of analysts' expectations. Revenue was higher in the fourth quarter compared to the fourth quarter last year. And for the full year, revenue also above what that company saw in 2018. The stock, though, right now is down by 1.1% to $70.25 a share. Price for gold still close to a 7-year high. It's up by about $10 right now, $16.21. Oil higher for a 7th day. It's up by 98 cents. $54.27 a barrel, jump of 1.8%, and we're now a couple of minutes away from new supply data in the U.S. That data does tend to be market moving. The Canadian dollar right now is down by 75.57 cents U.S. I'm Chris McCusker. Business continues at 26 and 56, or anytime at 680news.com.
The cold, savage winds are up.
Don't mean nothing.
We all trying to score. Better get low, cause we flip cars. Ride how the tech.
Ill instrumental.
Let out a Blitzburg, nigga. I'm ready. Yeah. Hey, cruising down the street with my AR. Strapped in the whip. We all trying to score. Better get low, cause we flip cars. Ride how the tech. We seen it from far. Cruising down the street with my AR. Strapped in the whip. We all trying to score. Better get low, cause these hit hard.
Danger. 666.
I ain't gotta slide off the rack and roll real quick. I'ma hop out the window. Wheels down street on free AR-15, got 50 in the clip. Can't run from this. Ain't no kicking and shoot through bricks. Four off the glass, him donkey shit. Glock for the fan with the rubber grip. Real crips don't leave no clues. Come through late night with crews. The dick you stiff don't move. My flex, I spit that hey, cruising down the street with my AR. Strapped in the whip. We all trying to score. Better get low, cause we flip cars. Ride how the 10. We seen it from far. Cruising down the street with my AR. Strapped in the whip. We all trying to score. Better get low, cause these hit hard. Strap how the 10. We seen it from far. No trap bags when I come through. Them niggas know how bees do. All they heard was some loud shots when the cops came, gave no clues. I put in work with that Smith & Wesson, and I put in work with that top too. Ain't came like Bruce Lee, got kicked back, no kung fu. A young nigga with a lot of cash. I fuck this bitch and passed her to the class. He mad, he every pound, so we cannot decide. No conversation in my Jason mask. Hey, cruising down the street with my AR. Strapped in the whip. We all trying to score. Better get low, cause we flip cars. Ride how the 10. We seen it from far. Cruising down the street with my AR. Strapped in the whip. We all trying to score. Better get low, cause these hit hard. Strap how the 10. We seen it from far.
I see these bricks cruising my shit. I feel like the shit. Money ain't shit. The bitch ain't shit. I'm trying to get rich. Shooting ARs, ain't shooting out of cars, pop out when I blitz. Me and bro don't mix, a brick for the kicks, ain't selling on the next. I'ma feed my dogs to the arms I got. Spin these bands at the mall in my get it for a low, if you tag it a lot. Young boss, they go to school and I top. They ain't crazy, no one see real. Ain't changed, never told, kept it real. Sitting in trap, trying to get a couple mil. How get the time, like taking no pills.
Cruising down the street, you a Mac AR. Strapped in the whip, we all trying to score. Better get low, cause we flip cars. Ride behind the tent, we seen it from far. Cruising down the street, you a Mac AR. Strapped in the whip, we all trying to score. Better get low, cause these hit hard. Ride behind the tent, we seen it from far. Cross with no sandal, shut up and get this mandal. Vandal come through 4 niggas like Rambo. AR the commando, hop out with the mop, I'll slide off the vandal. I spot me in camo, XD don't stand up. Shots flip through his flannel, then it's back to the bandit. Pull up on the 4-0, picked up like 6-4. Slap through, that's a quick score. Hit his vein, that's a kick door. He ain't gay, he ain't get score. Get killed through, he ain't like that. He ain't really trash right back. Think a bitch for a nightcap, pair of shit for a right back. No cut, give it right back. Right back down the street, strapped in the whip, we all trying to score. Better get low, cause we flip cars. Ride behind the tent, we seen it from far. Cruising down the street, relax, strapped in the whip.
Officers were disputing areas when Sylvan First Nation land in British Columbia. The federal government, though, believes the conditions have been met to end other blockades across this country.
The Mounties' arrest of Wet'suwet'en protesters who tried to block the construction of a natural gas pipeline has sparked solidarity blockades that has grounded most passenger and freight rail traffic to a halt. We get the latest from our Parliament Hill reporter, Cormac McSweeney.
Throughout this dispute, Wet'suwet'en hereditary chiefs demanded RCMP leave their traditional land. Now the force has notified the chiefs its mobile operations near the pipeline site will be moved to a nearby town. It's still in the territory, but federal public safety minister Bill Blair says he believes that should lead to an end to the solidarity blockades.
We have met the conditions that those who were on the barricades had said was important to them before they would change their posture. That work has been done.
But at least one hereditary chief says it's not enough, telling news outlets they want a meeting with the prime minister as well as the company behind
the pipeline. If I move 1,000 guys into some small town, they'll send fucking the army in. These guys can bring all these, they got CA carbines, it's their standard sidearm. You call it an M4.
Critics have called for police intervention. Cormac McSweeney, Parliament Hill.
You're listening to 680 News. Canadian cruise ship passengers on board a quarantined Diamond Princess in Japan who have not tested positive for coronavirus will finally be able to come home soon. Our Momin Qureshi monitoring the latest situation there and those developments. He joins us live now with more. Momin?
Steve, the over 200 Canadian passengers who have been stuck on that ship are just hours away from possibly getting on a charter flight and heading home. I say possibly because health officials say anyone who has either has a confirmed case of COVID-19 or shown symptoms will have to stay behind. The Director General of the WHO says the cruise ship is the site of a large number of confirmed cases.
Ship your ass across this province anytime. We're going to see where I'm going to fix some shit up on
passengers on the Diamond Princess cruise ship.
Now, once those Canadians are back in Canada, the Foreign Affairs Minister says they will be sent elsewhere.
And Trenton passengers will be assessed and transported to the NAV Canada Training Institute in Cornwall, in Ontario, to undergo a further 14-day quarantine period.
Why NAV Canada?
And the WHO does say that the number of confirmed cases in China continues to go down. Reporting live, I'm Momin Qureshi.
This is 680 News. Happening now at Queen's Park, another fiery question period, and again, the drama focused on the teachers' ongoing battle with the province. Provincial NDP leader Andrea Horvath was taking aim at the Premier.
There's no kids at those schools today, so we can do what we want out in the street today.
Of his agenda because we're sure that he's hearing from parents who oppose it just as we are. Selby Public School is in the riding of Hastings, Lennox, and Addington, and their parent council wrote to the Premier an open letter stating, and I quote, "Educators are some of the most important people in our children's lives. Members of our parent council, as well as our community at large, stand behind our educators. We will continue to support them now and into the future." So why does the Premier think he knows better than those parents?
And Doug Ford was quick with with his response.
Hey there. Well, Mr. Speaker, I never know more than the parents. The only difference between myself and the leader of the NDP, I travel right across the province. There's probably no one in the chamber that travels to more towns, more areas than I do. I speak to the parents, but guess what, Mr. Speaker? I speak to our great teachers. I support our frontline teachers that work hard day in and day out. They're just as frustrated. They want to get back in the classroom and do the job that they do best. That's teaching our kids. We want our kids back in the classroom, Mr. Speaker.
Well, bargaining continues today between the province and two teachers' unions, including Ontario's English Catholic teachers and French public teachers. It comes just a day before a planned joint strike by all four major teacher groups.
Well, Toronto officials are set to unveil a plan later today to deal with potential strikes that could take place as soon as the end of this month. Toronto's indoor and outdoor workers are each in contract talks with the city and have indicated a willingness to walk off the job. Now, the labor negotiations, though, continue, and there are no immediate strike plans announced by either union. The city, though, will release its contingency plan at a news conference that's slated for 1 o'clock this afternoon.
You're listening to All News Radio 680 News.
Garbage man goes on
it's
strike.
hard to
Everybody
believe,
pays
but
attention.
Kyle Lowry is currently playing his 14th season in the NBA. So what's his secret? Well, the Raptors point guard revealed what he does to stay young, and our Jeff Verholman joins us with those details.
What's Kyle Lowry's fountain of youth? What makes him keep chugging along? On a recent episode of Vince Carter's podcast, Winging It, Kyle let it slip.
I was sleeping in the hyperbaric chamber 4 or 5 hours a night.
Okay, Kyle, I'll bite. Why?
The hyperbaric chamber is something that basically drops you to 15 feet below sea level. This is what mine does, and you're just breathing pure oxygen. It's more oxygen to your system for recovery, rejuvenation. It's just rejuvenation, having new blood cells, blue, white, blue, red blood cells in there, getting everything in there.
Science. Now, there are places you can get hyperbaric treatment in Toronto. One
Blue blood cells.
Session, though,
Hold on a
will
second.
cost you about $200.
You got a lot of money, but
you will start playing basketball just like Kyle Lowry. I'm Jeff Verholman.
Sure, I wish that was the case. Coming up in 30 seconds, we'll have a check on city streets. Definitely some movement for the price of gas tonight. And this portion of 680 News has been brought to you today by your Toronto area Ford dealers.
680 News time, 11:09.
Let's do some F-150 math. 6.
Most stolen vehicle.
3,270.
That and the Honda Civic. So it depends what year you look at and exactly how you phrase the question. NAV Canada is a private non-share capital corporation, blah, 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 that owns and operates Canada's civil air navigation service. Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah, so why? What possible good is going to come from putting air traffic controller trainees and trainers in the same place with all these people in quarantine? Because if any of those people get sick at the airport, they're going to pull them out, and someone else is going to have to do that job. That's going to be these guys. Well, these guys are going to... How the fuck does that make sense? This fucking country makes no sense. I have to process it. They are going to put this people that they keep saying won't get sick, and then they get sick later... Oh, I need some sort of spreadsheet because the number of the second person was never quarantined. The third person tested negative, and I stopped paying attention, I think, after 5, and now we're up to 8. And one of them they say is cured. Well, they didn't do anything to cure him. He just doesn't look sick anymore. Well, they didn't look sick in the first place, so I don't see how you can trust that. And how do they know it's a 14-day incubation period? If these people keep popping up sick when they're saying they shouldn't be, that doesn't add up to me. And what's the point of locking 3,000 people down in one place as a quarantine and then letting a whole bunch of them get sick and then pulling people out? That doesn't make sense. You could have pulled them out in the first place. You could have pulled them out right away. What the fuck? Why didn't you? Now we got, what, hundreds of people on that boat are sick?
There's a trampoline, these bitches couldn't marry a guy. It was a Magdalene. My shop like a little bro, rectangular. I'm the last one.
Why have you RCMP there at all?
Twin hammers look like the Siamese. I got that beam from the Japanese.
Workers fight out their own problem.
Reminder, make a mac and cheese. It is what it has to be. I'm killing out who's after me. They have to see we rich, and I swear, what's it financially? Like who we frontin' for? They flying like there's a trampoline. These bitches couldn't marry a guy. It was a Magdalene. I shot like a little bro with tag-along. It's these instrumentals we got with bragging on. It's rose with beer broke glass ridges with dragon on. The nigga with the gate and Sega was never dragging on. The Megatron landing in Lebanon. We was slapping it back and forth like a tender ball. Used to live on French Street, right in the Esplanade. Bitches wanna strip and make us film it like espionage. You know that's why they set for it. Like white niggas in potential network. Chopping in shit so we win. Like connect for the cylinder, always a spin. I connect for it, right into the dome when I get it out the chest to draw rapper. When you go on tour, it's all music. Maybe when we go on tour, it's all shootings. Like other chefs got kicked, I gotta shoot it. Nigga, if you talk that talk, you gotta do it. Why they try me? I wear my heart on my iron sleeve. I'm the last of a down bread. Why they try me? I wear my heart on my iron sleeve. I'm the last of a down bread. Like you just wanna go on tour and make music. But every time you go on tours, it's all shootings.
The last of a dying
I'm the last of a dying breed. I uppercut these fucks and they chin and they fly with ease. I bleed what I have to bleed. This blood's what I have to see. Fuck big, go sit with your fam. I call it Applebee's. Who the fuck trying to get stuck? Tell them ask for me. That match pack about to get struck. I brought the gasoline. I've never lost. I got OGs to get it back for me. Call me down, calm with a crown. Call me your majesty, God. They try to handle me, lot. No, I don't play that. The bullets in that gray Mac A-track. They go way back. About them up, top your mug. Like where the safe at. Put numbers on your head. You already covered in face tats, boy. Why they always trying to snake that, boy? Charlie got the defibrillator to shake that, boy. Forget about it. You turn me to Rocky ASAP, boy. I'm the last of a dying breed. They wanna break that, boy. Like you're bringing all that beat to the farm. My man's branded you. If you don't get respect in the streets, I can't stand with you. They tell you you a threat on the beat. Your man's scamming you. The bench is like a beast when it spins. Crash Bandicoot. Pull up with a camera crew. Cannons in your face now. Anybody that's lying to us is lying face down. White boy, nice with a pen. This ain't no 8 Mile. We playing hopscotch in the spots where the body's traced out. Cause when you go on tour, it's all music. And baby, when we go on tour, it's just shootings. Drive-bys, your eyes watch shut, we gone Kubrick. See, we ain't really battle that talk, we just do shit.
Why they try me? I wear my heart on my iron sleeve. I'm the last of a down bread. Why they try me? I wear my heart on my iron sleeve. I'm the last of a down bread. Like he just wanna go on tour and make music.
The last of a dying bread.
But every time you go on tours, it's all shootings.
The last of a dying bread.
Okay, this is close enough. Uh-oh. What do we do?
Yo, Jeezy, thought that you ain't gonna see all of it, yeah. Look, been out from the grind for the minute, trying to get it out and I've been getting it. These niggas have been sweating it. Don't get out the bed for when I phone a nigga begging it. I'm way ahead of it, I'll ride upon a nigga letting it off. When it comes to this rap shit, I've got this, and so is Jeezy low. Man agrees to folk, I'm out for them notes, but I still keep it close. Case a man try provoke, that's 5 shots through his throat. Listen, if you know, then you know. I'm still on Rodham's road, shotting hoes, stashing knives in me clothes. If it's not your beat, don't get involved. We ride out to slap a nigga down and no cases getting sold. Listen, I'm the shooter, you're the victim. I rode out with him and told police away with him. I gave my boy follow tips, slopes to the loot. Just said that's for that dude. The next day, when it cleared him. I'm back on it, make this couple shots. Said I don't want it, I've got nowhere to put it. Plus it's out of bullets and I hate them shotguns. Cause when it's beef, I've never got nowhere to stuff it. I'm riding out with handings with bullets that expand. If a hitman by the barbers, he gon' land by pound. And he's lost, so don't act like you found, man. 8 bills for the odds if you want that brown tan. Listen, I'm trying to stay low off the radar from Pope because I know they want me so. Still trying to find me from crimes that I did years ago, but I don't even give a fuck. I got fined once, they hit me with some threats, talking about they'll take the shit if I didn't pay the debt. You gotta cheat, little fucking confidence. Tell him Jeezy, straight never flew up to Toronto. You know what it is?
Show these niggas how this rap on my side. Yo, I'm like, bang, bang, shots fly, body found in the park again. So flew like an angel with the darkest sins. You can't fly with the carpet wings. So I had to watch him sink like a toxic shit. It's like I built this on my own, no partnership. I did it solo, nigga, this my nigga, so I shot it up solo. First time I made the clip spilled for the fofo. Yo, it really is, yo. And I'm like, words on my mother, this pop kills. And if I don't have it, then I know that this knife will. See where I'm from? Man, know that the totally got sliver for a man, turn your liver to a polar blood. It's that real. Cat pill, but the gas will. And the thing gets stashed in the backfield. And I'm like, niggas been snaking and all that. You know I'm a boss, I took a break, but I'm taking it all back. Handles done smooth, pump short, cause I saw that. Guns with suppressors like I'm ready for combat. Yo, A-Star, tell these fuck niggas beyond that. It's one phone call, 7 niggas in all black. Ready, nigga, hop back and blow deadly, nigga. Stays in my hand, can't talk it, it's too heavy, nigga. Yeah, hop back and blow deadly, nigga. Stays in my hand, can't talk it, it's too heavy, nigga.
The TTC lost just over $70 million due to fare evasion last year. Penalties if you get caught range from $235 to $425, which is the highest range out of Canada's other major cities.
That's cheap
in
to me. I grew up with
Calgary, the fine for
$500
getting caught not paying your fare is $150. In Vancouver, it's $173. Some are calling for lower fines here, saying the TTC's penalties are disproportionate when considering other fines commonly issued to Torontonians. A TTC spokesperson tells the CBC fare evasion hits them in a way that perhaps other cities don't experience. A motion going before the TTC board next week by Councillor Brad Bradford calls for a sliding scale of fines based on different offences, such as higher fines for adults who use a child Presto card. I'm Laura Carney.
3 young teenagers will appear in court today after an armed bank robbery in Markham that had several people hurt.
It was an intense and frightening scene here in the Markham Road and 16th Avenue area where 3 bandits robbed the bank and were then chased by police.
A ton of police cars, police lights everywhere, cops going through the woods back here.
The trio, armed with guns and knives, burst into the Royal Bank around 8 last night, stabbing 2 people, beating 2 others, but then police arrived, forcing the 3 robbers to run. They were tracked by police dogs into a construction site nearby and were arrested. It turns out all 3 are young teens, one just 13 years old. Police believe these 3 youngsters in custody are responsible for a series of similar robberies right across the GTA. In Markham, I'm Carl Hansky.
60 seconds from now, we got Helena Balka standing by with the latest in traffic, and we will have a look at that forecast.
680 News Time, 11:20.
If you're like most people, you probably think all banks are the same.
So I'm sitting here thinking, I remember on the fucking news channel, there's no point telling you the name of it, but the news show at the time, and they had the police on, and they were showing us video and telling us the addresses and showing us these people selling crack and where to go get it was basically what they were telling us. And then the cop walks them through. They must have had this all set up beforehand, but I swear the guy, what the crackheads will do, he's walking us through the process of how to smoke crack. I would have not known how to smoke crack except for the Toronto police and the fucking TV news channel. He picks I'm not going to tell you. He picks a thing off the ground and he tells them what to do with it, and he says, oh, they'll do this and they'll do that and they need this to make it work. And I was like, oh, I didn't know that. I didn't know any of that. I had heard of this thing and I knew it was being sold out there, and they told me not to fuck with it. Everybody that was involved with it told me not to fuck with it from when I was little. So like, why would I? And then fucking here's the police teaching us that. And I remember one time, this, I guess it's gang intervention or something. None of us were like really criminally active at the time, but I remember them bringing in this video telling us all about like the definition of a gang and all this other shit and what gangs do and all this stuff. And I'm sitting there getting all these fucking ideas that I wouldn't have had if they hadn't shown us these fucking videos. This is Toronto. They fucking train you to fucking do this shit.
We can see southbound 404 is busy approaching Shepherd onto the DVP down to Lawrence, the 404 Parkway combination, and then exiting at the bottom end to the Gardner. Of course, it's backing up due to that long-term construction project. Northbound 400 approaching Highway 88. Tire debris earlier was reported in the left lane, but likely it's been picked up and cleared by now. Eastbound Eglinton and Mississauga still down to a single lane from Tompkin to approaching Dixie. Broken water main, the reason there. Bring on winter in a Subaru. Hurry in for lease and finance rates from 0.99% at your local Ontario Subaru dealer. Next traffic report at 11:31. Now with the forecast, Jill Taylor.
The chance of flurries will diminish as we work through the day. Snow squalls will weaken to the north. Sun and cloud for Toronto and the GTA. The guaranteed high, though, just -5. The average high 0. Mainly clear tonight, -10 for the low. It'll feel like -19 early tomorrow morning, but then milder air for the afternoon. The high +1 tomorrow with lots of sunshine. Weekend is looking beautiful. Sun and clouds. Saturday, 5 degrees. Sunny on Sunday. Could hit +8. For today, the guaranteed high, cold one, -5.
Right now in downtown Toronto, we have a mix of sun and cloud. It's -5, feeling like -10 in the wind. At Pearson Airport, it's mainly sunny now, -7 with a wind chill of -9.
And coming up at the bottom of the hour, we'll have the latest from Ottawa, where the public safety minister now saying the RCMP have left the traditional grounds of the Wet'suwet'en First Nation in northern BC, hoping that will now have a ripple effect
You said you're in the
to
next
bring down some of those
nearest
barricades
town.
that have been set up across rail crossings all over this country.
680 News Time, 11:23.
How would winning the Lotomax jackpot
change your weekend of gardening? Let's ask Susan.
Forget measly gardens. I grow my own forest.
Okay, but Friday's Lotomax jackpot is $65 million, plus an estimated 12 max millions. As your dream coach, I say keep growing.
Ooh, with the waterfall, luxury tree houses for my friends, and instead of walking, we'll zip line everywhere.
Zipline dreams are my favorite. Friday's Lotomax jackpot is $65 million, plus an estimated 12 max millions. Withdrawals Tuesdays and Fridays, you can dream to the max.
Text to travel.
Your 680 News text to travel code is Florida.
Text that code to 680-680 and you could be on your way to Balmoral Resort in Central Florida.
Standard message and data rates may apply.
Your next code will be coming up this afternoon between 1 and 3. It appears as though technology, including blind spot detection, now found in a lot of new vehicles, really is making roadways safer.
A new report from the National Safety Council shows a 2% decline in deaths from car crashes in 2019 compared to the year before, and some of what we used to consider bells and whistles on cars could be saving lives. Automated emergency brakes, backup cameras, and adaptive headlights, just a few of the options the council says reduces the severity of crashes or prevents them altogether. Lionel Moise, ABC News.
On the way in 60 seconds, Chris McCusker standing by, keeping an eye on one stock's performance that is out of this world, so to speak.
680 News Time, 11:25. This is your Air Transat flight attendant. Our Kids Club features a dedicated check-in counter, in-flight goodies, priority baggage handling, and a giraffe? Ask your parents, sweetie. Air Transat. Vacation is calling. I just love driving and getting caught in the middle of a blizzard with no cell phone service. It's like my quiet time.
Said no one ever. Be weather ready with the Corolla. Now with available Safety Connect system to provide 24/7 emergency response. With 8 different Corolla models to choose from, now's the time to Toyota. Lease the 2020 Corolla L for as low as $68 weekly at 2.99% APR for 48 months with $0 down. Visit shoptoyota.ca or your local Ontario Toyota dealer for details. Some conditions apply.
This is your Air Transat flight attendant, inviting all passengers to fly with their own personal celebrity chef. Treat yourself on all our flights to our gourmet menu by Danielle Vecino. Air Transat. Vacation is calling. 680 News Time, 11:26.
Time now for the 680 News Business Report. It's brought to you today by Quest Trade. Let's check into the Business Center with Chris McCusker. Chris, you're keeping an eye on one particular stock this morning that as you say, is out of this world.
Yes.
Literally out of this world.
Well, literally, and the stock's performance is out of this world as well. Shares in Virgin Galactic higher for a 9th straight day. The stock actually hit an all-time high, 42.49. A little off that right now, still up by 4% to 38.79. And year to date, this stock is higher by 235%. Now, keep in mind, the space passenger company just went public in October of last year. Driving the gains, essentially intrigue, let's say, over recreational space travel, as SpaceX, founded by Tesla CEO Elon Musk, announced earlier this week that they are working with Space Adventures to launch up to 4 tourists into super high orbit. We've now got a losing session on Bay and Wall Street. It was a promising start for North American markets. The TSX did hit an all-time high. Now it's down by 3. 17,922. The Dow is off by 187. That's close to the low for the session. The S&P down by 7. The S&P closing at a record yesterday. The NASDAQ also closed at an all-time high. It's down by 86. Now, at the same time, we've got this yield curve inversion in the bond market. That's where the payoff on the shorter term bonds is higher than the longer term. And it often, not always, but often signals a recession. Markets, though, don't seem too worried. That is until there is some sort of surprise. Adam Hennick is investment advisor at Hennick Wealth.
Another example, and a really good one, was 2008, 2009. Nobody really knew that this was an issue. That suddenly mortgages were a massive issue. And then when it became one, the world had to adjust to this new reality. And that's what sent the markets reeling. Nobody saw that coming.
Gold right now is higher by $12, $16.24, close to a 7-year high. Oil up by 88 cents, 54.17, a little off its high for the session. The latest supply report in the U.S. did show a build of 400,000 barrels last week. And the Canadian dollar right now is down 23,100, 75.41 cents U.S. I'm Chris McCusker. This is 680 News.
You know how my brother moved his investments to Questrade? I think it's a smart move for us, too.
Investing online? Not sure we're those people.
Those people pay way lower fees, 0.5% versus the 2% we pay.
That's 4 times lower.
Over time, that could be life-changing.
Save your retirement. See how you can retire wealthier with the Quest Wealth Portfolio's RRSP at Questrade.com.
I'm here with Bill Coy of Coy Brothers, and we're talking about Coy Brothers 1 and Coy Brothers 2.
One's bricks and mortar, and the second is our online store.
I hear both are equally as great, except if I shop online, I can't see you, Bill.
That's a shame. But online, we're open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We offer the largest
everywhere you're going,
of
it's 3 feet of snow, and they're waiting for you to bring the
safety glasses.
Yes, sir, and brand names you love.
Like Steel and Kubota, all from Coy Brothers.
KOOYBROS.com.
We'll get you home with the best local traffic reports on the ones on 680 News.
Taking a look now at some regional weather conditions. We have got some sunshine in Mississauga right now at -7 degrees, and it's -6 when you are out in Ajax right now, looking at some sunshine as well. Right now in downtown Toronto, mix of sun and cloud, -7. Although it feels like -13 when you factor in that wind. Neetu Super Sad Singh is the midday show editor. Lucas Casaletto is our digital editor. 680 News Time, 11:30.
#1 for news in Toronto. This is 680 News.
Here are Sarah Barrett and Steve Robert. Good morning. It's Thursday, February 20th.
And good morning. Here's what's making news this hour.
New developments in the ongoing rail blockades. The RCMP offers to withdraw from the original barricade site on the Wet'suwet'en First Nation, and the Trudeau government believes that should be enough to end the nationwide solidarity protests.
More than 200 Canadians who have been stuck aboard a cruise ship in Japan are expected to finally be heading home aboard a chartered flight this afternoon, but some will have tested positive for the coronavirus will have to stay behind.
More fireworks at Queen's Park today, where the Ford government and the opposition continue to argue over the ongoing teachers' dispute.
And a human brain stored inside a clear glass mason jar has been seized from a Canada Post truck.
Police search for points at home against Crosby and the Pens, and moving on to the championship round in Moose Jaw. Sports at 45.
An all-time high on Bay Street. Now markets are in the red. The Dow down more than 200 points. Oil is higher for a 7th day, and gold still close to a 7-year high. Business at 56.
680 News Time, 11:31.
Time for traffic and weather together on the ones. Here's Selena Volka. This report brought to you by Queensway Hyundai. If you're traveling on the eastbound Gardner, it's slow as you head round the Humber to east of Jameson. We had a collision there, but it was quickly cleared away, so all lanes now open, although it is a bit slow as you head towards the Humber and around it towards Jameson and east of it because of that earlier problem. Eastbound 401 through Mississauga Road to Mavis is a bit slow, approaching the 427 to Weston Express and Collectors, and then east of Leslie and the Collectors to the southbound DVP, that is starting to back up. The southbound 404 Parkway is congested, approaching Shepherd Express and Collectors down to the 401, and continues busy to south of Lawrence on that southbound DVP. Also backing up at the bottom end to the Gardner ramp. Of course, that's that ongoing construction. The reason eastbound Eglinton still down to a single lane from Tonkin to approaching Dixie, still dealing with a broken water main. Celebrate the month of love at Queensway Hyundai with 0% lease or finance, and don't pay for 90 days on select models. For full details, visit queenswayhyundai.ca. Next traffic report at 11:41 with the forecast. Jill Taylor.
We'll have sun and cloud today, chance of flurries, but the snow squalls to the north will weaken through the day. The guaranteed high just -5, mainly clear -10 for the low. It'll feel like -19 overnight. For today, the guaranteed high -5.
Right now downtown, we have got some sunshine, -7, feeling like -13 when you factor in that wind. It looks like those same conditions right now.
-7, -13, -19. Step you up to it slowly. It's gonna be fucking cold.
Breaking news, the Trudeau government believes the rail blockades across the country should be lifted now that the RCMP has offered to withdraw officers from a disputed area of the Wet'suwet'en First Nation in BC.
The city's Parliament Hill reporter Cormac McSweeney has the latest.
On his way into a cabinet meeting this morning, Public Safety Minister Bill Blair says the RCMP has agreed to move its officers away from the original blockade site.
They have currently been deployed out of a structure on the roadway, about 22 kilometers down the road. They're now going to deploy their officers from the nearby town of Houston, which is off the roadway.
While Mounties will still technically be on Wet'suwet'en territory, he believes it meets the conditions to end the Solidarity rail blockades. The Crown Indigenous Minister hopes this leads to talks. One hereditary chief, though, says it's not enough, telling news outlets they want a meeting with the Prime Minister as well as the company behind the pipeline, Coastal GasLink, off their land. The feds have committed to ending this dispute peacefully, while critics have called for police intervention. Cormac McSweeney, Parliament Hill.
This is 680 News. The more than 200 Canadians who have spent weeks stranded on a cruise ship struck by a coronavirus outbreak are just hours away from flying home. But of course, their journey doesn't quite end there. 680's Moment Qureshi joins us live with the latest information. Moment.
Sailors have been on board that Diamond Princess cruise ship for over 2 weeks, but the more than 200 Canadian passengers are now just hours away from potentially heading home. The flight chartered by the federal government is already on the ground in Japan and expected to begin the journey back to Canada early this afternoon. Now, 47 Canadians have been identified have been infected by COVID-19. Foreign Affairs Minister François-Philippe Champagne says those passengers and any others who show symptoms will have to stay behind.
According to the analysis of Global Affairs Canada, the Public Health Agency of Canada, and the Canadian Armed Forces medical personnel on the ground, the best approach to dealing with Canadians who have been infected with the coronavirus in Japan is for them to be treated locally.
Now, once that plane arrives at CFB Trenton, they will be checked once again and then taken to Cornwall, where they'll be quarantined for 14 days. Reporting live, I'm Moment Qureshi.
Well, to Queen's Park now, where the province's ongoing battle with the teachers are taking center stage during question period today. Of course, it all comes a day before a planned strike by all 4 major teachers' unions tomorrow. NDP leader Andrew Horvath directing her frustrations towards the Premier.
Well, the Premier and the Conservatives say that their plan to fire thousands of teachers is reasonable, but parents are telling us that the reasonable thing to do is absolutely the opposite of what this Premier is suggesting. Justin from Oshawa told us that he supports teachers. Why? Because, and I quote, you can't threaten to burn a house down and then threaten to only burn their garage down and say you're being reasonable in the negotiations.
That's very fitting for what just happened out here.
So why does the Premier
think he knows better than parents like Justin.
You're only going to be a little bit down the road with 1,000 fucking guys, right? The C8 carbines, right?
The opposition that voted, Mr. Speaker, to close with the Liberal buddies 600 schools. They didn't burn them down. They just closed them, kicked the kids out. That's the difference. We're building new schools. We're building new schools right across the province.
And talks are set to continue today between the province and the unions representing English Catholic teachers and French public teachers.
You're listening to 680 News. 3 young people have been arrested after a violent armed robbery in Markham. What's even more disturbing is just how young some of the suspects are. Here's our Carl Hansky.
The level of violence involved in the bank robbery here at Parker Road at 16th Avenue isn't what really shocks residents. It's the ages of the alleged bandits.
Who would have known it all would have been done by, younger kids? But it's a dangerous world we live in nowadays.
It's alleged 3 young teens, one just 13 years old, burst into the Royal Bank around 8 last night, forced those inside to put hands up, stabbed 2 of them, beat 2 others before officers arrived and forced them to flee on foot. They ran north. Residents saw the manhunt.
10 cop cars, there was helicopters, canine units. Crazy.
The suspects were eventually tracked to a construction site and arrested. Police believe these 3 youngsters are responsible for several other similar robberies across the GTA. In Markham, I'm Carl Hansky.
Well, here's a bit of a strange one. U.S. border agents seizing a human brain. Where did they find it? In a Canadian mail truck.
Border agents found the brain in a clear glass mason jar on Valentine's Day during a routine check at the crossing between Sarnia, Ontario, and Port Huron, Michigan. The brain was headed for Kenosha, Wisconsin. The shipping manifest listed it as an antique teaching specimen. Customs and Border Protection Agency specialists contacted the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention so they could help figure out what to do with the brain. Dawn Kelly, The Canadian Press.
You're listening to 680 News at 11:38. The billionaire businessman behind Victoria's Secret is out as chief executive of the company he founded, following ties to disgraced financier Jeffrey Epstein.
L. Brennan said Les Wexner will step down as chairman and chief executive. The board of directors called Wexner a retail legend who built Bath & Body Works and Victoria's Secret into household names. But Wexner's reputation is inextricably linked to that of disgraced financier Jeffrey Epstein. He was Wexner's personal financial advisor for 15 years, only to be accused last year of misappropriating vast sums a decade earlier. Wexner has declined to reveal the full scope of the alleged theft or whether he reported it to authorities. He has denied having advanced knowledge of Epstein's sexual predation. Aaron Katursky, ABC News, New York.
Coming up in 30 seconds, we'll take a look at city streets and then find out where the price of gas is going.
680 News Time, 11:39.
Hey, what's with the motorcycle revving over there?
It's saying the Toronto Motorcycle Show is coming.
What? You can interpret. There's more. February 21st through 23rd.
Wow, you really love motorcycles.
Yes.
The Toronto Motorcycle.
Oh my God, they told us yesterday it's okay to go to Chinese restaurants. As if people here were worried about ordering Chinese food because of an outbreak of a virus in China. That makes perfectly logical sense. This is our real government. Our real fucking government says these things. Oh, that's loud. Uh-oh. The fuck? Well, I don't know what. Yeah, I didn't tell it to do that. Motherfucker. That's why I use this. Even this doesn't always fucking do what I tell it to do. You can't threaten to burn down the house and then say, "Oh, I'll only burn down the garage." Okay, so the RCMP is only moving down the road a little bit, and still block that main road. How many fucking guys do they have there? They have a whole shitload at the other blockade. So how many fucking RCMP officers do they have in this little fucking town?
If you rep the team, I know you'll set me high. Big shots, nigga, rep your block. Bad hand, best be holding your tongue. The bloody north where the soldiers is from. If you rep the team, I know you'll set me high. Big shots, nigga, rep your block. Bad hand, best be holding your tongue. The bloody north where the soldiers is from.
357s and Mac 11s, you stepping, cock your weapon and stop yelling if you rep 187. I got niggas in the front ready and willing to split you down the middle just like a puzzle. Walk without with me, the Lord will not forgive me for shaking up your kidney. Cause you faking and Disney, my niggas lippy and shifty, pissy, really iggy, shiggy. We don't give a wiggy, what really, really trying to kill the city like crack in the 80s. I'm ready to burn in Hades, my dog's infected with rabies. Not even my father can fit me, you niggas is crazy. Fuck a fight and learn what these challenges do. You could be as cuckoo as you are, I'm unbalanced too. Thanks in the garden, I'm coming to rally you, massacre splatter you, run you off of your avenue while I laugh at you. The money sadistic, demented options, my figment of the appearance igneous, run you up the district.
If you rep the team, I know you'll set me high. Big shots, nigga, rep your block. Bad hand, best be holding your tongue. The bloody north where the soldiers is from. If you rep the team, I know you'll set me high. Big shots, nigga, rep your block. Bad hand, best be holding your tongue. The bloody north where the soldiers is from. Star City where we blast shots. Then in the last block, your man mentality, cause all of us niggas stash rocks. Hope the thing ain't harvest and feeling cash crops. Money growing trees, just turning coke leaf to crack rock. Find a block, get a key, keep it padlocked. Innocent animals, watch your dog, jealous trash talk. We pack gloves, just smoke weed with hair like Sasquatch. Fuck my niggas, dog, your son think you out of the sandbox. Better yet, I crash your plane, spit on the black box. Because he's highly trained on cocaine, higher than that plug, we that hard. You with more clips is, for instance, the same equivalent as a bed nil in the insects. Ridiculous. Most cats is sweet like licorice. I eat they food fast, smoke niggas similar to cigarettes. You dig me yet? Better catch me, burn the ass. I belong to burn the fast, leave you colder than the NUJ. Rep the team, I know you'll set me high. Big shots, nigga, rep your block. Bad hand, best be holding your tongue. The bloody north where the soldiers is from. Rep the team, I know you'll set me high. Big shots, nigga, rep your block. Bad hand, best be holding your tongue. The bloody north where the soldiers is from.
I'm from the city where they keep it gully. Gritty niggas rapping out of city niggas, homie. Taking trees, niggas screaming by the OGs. All we do is OGs. Play your please. You small time like the little leagues. Pussy niggas bleed when they fuck with me. Turn like a track star when they fuck with me. I ain't buckshot, but I buck shots, homie. I pack the hollows for the cops only. It's all real in the hood. They call me abs and still. Beside my abs, they're still. I make you feel still in your abs for real. Cook coke like a gourmet chef. Perfection. See my throat flow stack up. Erection. Not to mention me getting love for hoes. Attention. We don't love them hoes. Lazy spark the draw. Double crack the mo. Niggas don't want wool cause they lack the toast.
Yeah, rep the team, I know you'll set me high. Big shots, nigga, rep your block. Bad hand, best be holding your tongue.
Doesn't say anything about them agreeing to leave the blockades. People are just risking every rough.
Bad hand, best be holding your tongue. The bloody north where the soldiers is from.
It makes a reference to suicide in that song, I don't like. Fuck.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's Christ, Samson, be not, let the beat rock. Yeah. Hey yo, you know I'm about to go off. Nova Scotian show off. With flows and doper than an Okanagan go off. The homie Brody told me he had a beat, he needed me to flow on. So we formed together like Ultron. Shit so sick, it'll make you wanna throw up. Sicker than a mix of liquor, piss, and coke straw. So raw, disgusting.
Nikolai broke off with the punches, and I'm lunging with a bunch of them. Stuff them in your ugly grin for lunch again. The microwave a hungry man until he's fucking dead. Understand? I'm an animal, a baboon, an orangutan with tattoos, driving off fast food, swinging my dang-a-lang. Hang with me. You're probably catching a couple chargers. I'm not the hardest, I'm just an artist who's motherfucker retarded. You wanted to harm me? Don't be dumb. You should have come with an army plus some rum and some drugs ready to party.
I don't know where my mind is, my mind's lost. I don't know if I'll find it or how far. All I know is this.
You gon' put that shit on like that's the shit, cuz
I don't know where my mind is, my mind's lost. I don't know if I'll find it or how far. All I know is this.
You gon' put my shit on like holy shit.
Yeah. Doing blow until I throw up. Cocoa in my nose crust. Don't trust Brody when he's smoking that stuff. Me and Christopher the illest for sure. Fist the bitch was in trouble before. Itching to stick my dick in the corpse. Drink until I'm dizzy, drunk and piss on the floor. Fucking your bitch until the clitoris sore. I'm on a mission for the riches and whores. A bottle of the liquor with some pills I can snort. This the sort of shit I spit for kicks when I'm bored. East Coast rider shit. Weed smoke, light a split. We don't like a snitch. Beast mode, fight a bitch. Debo running with some heat, so violent. G code silent, jeans go slider past my cheeks, so 90s with a mean cold smile. I'm a G, no lie. I got a bottle of the Keats and I think I'm gonna drink, so I'm peace and don't find me.
I don't know where my mind is, my mind's lost. I don't know if I'll find it or how far. All I know is this.
You gon' put that shit on like that's the shit, cuz
I don't know where my mind is, my mind's lost. I don't know if I'll find it or how far. All I know is this.
You gon' put my shit on like holy shit. Now ain't that some shit? Holy shit.
What the fuck you get 3 area codes? You get 3,000 people, you used up 3 area codes? There's something fucked up with it. You're lying. Our economy is based on eco-tourism.
Where you at? Hit me up with the money, with a stack. Get this paper, get this cash. No, we here with my niggas in the trash. Put it in, flip it quick, get it back. Hit me up with my niggas in the room, cleaning up, sweeping up with a broom. Run it down, run it down, run it down. Double cup, double cup, double cup. So I got a couple racks today. Didn't think I made it, but I made it back today. Cashing out in the bank every day. Put in work, get paid. Where my niggas at? Friday night, where the fuck is everybody? I just wanna party, I don't wanna lie. Friday night, where the fuck is everybody? I just wanna party, I don't wanna lie. I just wanna party, I don't wanna lie. I just wanna party, I don't wanna lie. Friday night, where the fuck is everybody? I just wanna party, I don't wanna lie. Just got off the plane, juice all in my veins. 6 buzzing my name, no one on these flames. Fucking Friday night, I ain't playing no games. I'm that West End chick that was raised in the lane. Yeah, you won't believe, pay up, just raise the fee. Get a hold of me, the freaks on Friday, BT. Raise a bar for the scene. If the work ain't clean, don't come for me. They show up before, but they don't wanna come around. I'ma ride this wave till the water run out. I'ma spark this place till the fire burn out. But I'm most done now. Fucking Friday night, where the fuck is everybody? I just wanna party, I don't wanna lie. Fucking Friday night, where the fuck is everybody? I just wanna party, I don't wanna lie. I just wanna party, I don't wanna lie. I just wanna party, I don't wanna lie. Fucking Friday night, where the fuck is everybody? I just wanna party, I don't wanna lie.
1880. Right.
Shot up him in DJ's Pod 2, but 1995, you know what I'm saying? I'm finna kick some French style bump, you know what I'm saying? Kicking it with my nigga MC Spade, Mr. K, Lil West, you know what I'm saying? We finna bump like this here, so check it out.
This town barely even exists. I don't think it's legitimate. I think the whole town could fucking move.
Wet the block, we rain it down on all you hoes. Wet the block, our buildings we don't even know. Wet the block, I call the shopper or wet the.
Oh. Uh-oh.
Man, it's easy on the mic with you now, man. Straight to Holly. You know the truth to that. Yo. We them souls, nigga, we don't fuck around. We them souls, let him fuck around. Let him fuck around. Yo.
Nigga, what it is? Nigga, what it ain't? Talking all that shit, man, ain't even step in the paint. You niggas be trying to be what you niggas really ain't. Pull a lot of noise like we driving in the tank. Got a couple of years and they see you, they gon' prank. Kill them with the real steppers when we spot you on the snap. They gon' get your ass wet, and I ain't talking about no saints. Got the AK-47, when I shoot it, I'm gon' blink. We ain't really give a fuck. Keep it to yourself, tell me I'm gon' bust. I just wanna fuck, I don't want the cup. Like what's up? Come with better chip before the shit get real. Got them shooters down the door, jump off you just like a pimp. When I pull up at that nigga squad, hop out like what's the deal? Nigga fuck with me, I'm gonna kill you, shoot like a bro. I don't really give a fuck, I just shoot him up with the stick. And nigga fuck with me, I'm gonna spit him down and let it rip. I'm just riding around town, shooting 100 rounds. I got them trees, yeah, you know I got them pounds. We them Zoas, nigga, won't fuck around. Like what you saying, J? I got a chopper, best believe you gon' be laying, J. When I pull up, we gon' leave valley frames, J. Got them drinkers, got them choppers, yeah, we spraying shit. Yeah, and you know I got them Mac, niggas in the fucking attic. We can shoot away you rap. Got so down the blow, down the pole in your cap. You be on the go, but when it's smoke, we gon' attack. We gon' attack. And that's for sure, y'all. You gon' get smacked. You already know, y'all. She fought with me, cause I'm a soldier. And I keep that 40 tuck like I'm a soldier.
And whether school is open.
There's a lot of fucking bullshit
What
going
you
on
need to
here.
know, the 680 News Extreme Weather Center has you covered.
Brought to you by Air Transat, Vacation is Calling, and Subaru, Confidence in Motion.
Exclusively on 680 News and 680news.com.
Coming up in business news in 60 seconds, a switch in sentiment on North American markets.
680 News Time, 11:55. Tony Orlando, live in concert. March 23rd and 24th on stage at Niagara Falls View Casino. 3 times on the ceiling, millions of records sold and millions of fans. Visit FallsViewCasinoResort.com for tickets. Tony Orlando, March 23rd and 24th at Niagara Falls View Casino.
With Intact Insurance, you can get rewarded for being a good driver. No, really. The better you drive, the more you save. Seriously, you could get up to 30% off your car insurance with My Drive. Can you put your hands on your head? No. Please keep your hands on the wheel. Intact Insurance. The insurance you dream of. If you dream of insurance, get a quote on intact.ca or talk to your broker. Certain conditions and exclusions apply.
680 News Time, 11:56.
Now the 680 News Business Report. Here's Chris McCusker.
Well, Sarah, we had a decent start to the day on North American markets, and now Not so much. Bay Street hit an all-time high for a fourth straight day. Right now it's down 40 points, 17,885. The loss is a little steeper in the U.S., although Wall Street off its lows for the day. The Dow is down 241, the S&P off by 32, and the NASDAQ, still the big loser in North America on a percentage basis, down by 1.1%. The S&P and the NASDAQ pulling back from all-time highs. Investment bank Morgan Stanley is buying the online brokerage E-Trade for about $13 billion. And the all-stock deal is actually one of the biggest on Wall Street since the financial crisis. E-Trade has a popular online platform that helps businesses manage their employee stock plans, which will be merged into Morgan Stanley's existing platform. Shares in Morgan Stanley off by about 3% right now. But wow, look at E-Trade stock go. It's higher by 24%, $55.89 a share, going as high as $57.30. Time now for the Express Gold Refining XAU.ca gold price update. Gold is higher by $13 right now, $16.25, so still close to that 7-year high. And Danny Berger with Bloomberg in London says one analyst is predicting it could be heading higher.
So this comes from strategists at UBS Wealth Management. They're looking at the rally in gold, and despite it trading above $1,600 an ounce, they say that it has further to run. So for that reason, they suggest being long gold. In fact, that's what their positioning is right now. Now, their estimate, they say that it could top $1,650 in just a few weeks.
Price for oil right now is higher by 63 cents, $53.92. Now, it's higher for a seventh day, but it's off its high for the session. New data in the U.S. did show a smaller than expected build in supplies last week. So right now, U.S. oil up by 1.1%. The Canadian crude index is up by 1.4%. to 37.73, and the Canadian dollar is down 22.100, 75.42 cents U.S. Going the other way, that is $1.32. So again, the TSX hit another all-time high for a fourth straight day, but now it's down 40 points. The Dow is off by 250. I'm Chris McCusker. This is 680 News.
It's the final days of the Hyundai I Love Winter sales event. You're running out of time to get no-charge all-wheel drive on all Kona, Tucson, and Santa Fe models. It's your last chance to make winter easier. Don't pay for
Some missionary
models like
went
the
through there in
Plus, we're making
1880.
winter more comfortable with our amazing available heated and safety features.
And this place was incorporated
The Hyundai I Love Winter
in,
sales event ends
what
March
does it say,
7th. Conditions apply. Visit
1957.
HyundaiCanada.com or your dealer for details.
Catholic teachers are
I
fighting
don't
to
see how they have a
preserve one of the
claim to
best
anything.
education systems in the world. We want to give every student a chance to succeed. The Ford government is overcrowding classrooms and destroying opportunities for students. We need to stop them before it gets worse. Critical thinking is one of the most important skills we teach. How to separate fact from spin. Don't fall for this government's
Teachers are the worst
misinformation.
trying to
Know
brainwash
more.
people.
Visit knowmore.ca to help us reverse the cuts. A message from the Ontario English Catholic Teachers Association.
Now, 680 News regional weather conditions for Walmart.
Walmart's Fashion Clearance event is on now. Select styles of apparel and footwear are now up to 50% off. Find great styles at low prices for the whole family at Walmart. In Mississauga right now, it's sunny, -7. Hamilton, partly cloudy and -2. Downtown Toronto, sun and cloud, it's -5, a wind chill of -10. The News Watch never stops. 680 News is CFTR AM Toronto. It's 12 noon.
Number one for breaking news, traffic, and weather. This is 680 News, Toronto.
Here are Steve Roberts and Sarah Paris.
Good afternoon. This is Thursday, the 20th of February.
Good afternoon. Here's what's making news this hour.
The federal public safety minister says he believes conditions have been met to lift the rail blockades after the RCMP says it will move its officers away from a pipeline construction site in the Wet'suwet'en First Nation.
They've been stuck on board a cruise ship in Japan for more than 2 weeks, but more than 200 Canadians could be on their way home aboard a charter flight later today. But those infected by the coronavirus will have to stay behind.
And more fireworks at Queen's Park today, a day before a massive teacher strike here in Ontario.
Dennis Morgan set to make his Leafs debut against the Penguins. Anderson starts. Shapovalov reaches the quarters in Marseille. Sports at 15.
Bay Street hits another all-time high and then changes direction. Wall Street also in the red with the Dow down by 260. The gold is still holding above $1,600. Business at 26.
City News Time, 12:01.
Time now for traffic and weather together on the ones and with Toronto's most frequent traffic reports. Good afternoon, Zach Bodenstein.
Hey, Steve. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Sarah. This report brought to you by your local Ontario Subaru dealers. A couple of issues on the go right now. If you're south on the 404 just before Shepherd in the Express, third lane from the right, it looks like that middle lane as well. So 2 center lanes are blocked off with a stalled vehicle. Again, there is a tow truck here. It's not really slowing the drive down if you're taking the 401. You can just make your way on that ramp. But right now it is slow overall from Finch and then southbound 404 DVP. And delays after that approaching the 401 and the Express to south of Lawrence. Eastbound on the 401, stalled vehicle east of Mississauga Road in the right lane. Just a minor delay heading through Mississauga Road. And then you'll find delays east 401 on and off approaching Kipling to Weston in the Express and Collectors. Northbound DVP bunches up through Lawrence. You'll find a pretty smooth drive on the West QE Gardner. Not much going on through there, but eastbound slow through Mississauga Road. That again from Jameson to Dufferin and on the Spadina ramp as well. At last check in Mississauga, eastbound Eglinton still slow. Tompkin to approaching Dixie. It's all because of a broken water main in the 2 right lanes. Get fully equipped for winter in a Subaru during the Bring On Winter event. Enjoy lease and finance rates from 0.99% at your local Ontario Subaru dealers. With the forecast, here's Jill Taylor.
Any chance of flurries will diminish through the day. Sun and cloud, the guaranteed high just -5. Below average, the average high is 0. Mainly clear tonight, -10. It'll feel like -19 early Friday. For today, the guaranteed high just -5. Mostly sunny sky in downtown Toronto. It's -5. Wind chill of -10. 680 News Time, 12:03.
The RCMP in British Columbia have now agreed to move their officers away from a pipeline construction site in the Wet'suwet'en First Nation. Now, the Trudeau government believes that should be enough to end the Solidarity rail blockades that have sparked all across this country.
680's Parliament Hill reporter Cormac McSweeney joins us with more.
The RCMP have notified Wet'suwet'en chiefs that they will be moving their officers from the original blockade site on a roadway in the territory to a nearby town of Houston, but will still be patrolling the area to make sure no further barricades go up. Public Safety Minister Bill Blair says he believes it's now time for protesters in other provinces to lift their rail blockades.
We have now met the conditions that were set. I think now the circumstances are such that those barricades should come down.
But one hereditary chief is already dismissing this, telling news outlets they also want the company behind the pipeline, Coastal GasLink, off their land, and they now only want to meet with the Prime Minister, not the BC Premier or other federal ministers. Pressure has been growing for the Trudeau government to quickly end the blockades because of the economic impacts and job losses. Cormac McSweeney, Parliament Hill.
After weeks of being under quarantine, more than 200 Canadians from the Diamond Princess cruise ship will finally be heading home, but there could be a bit of a catch for some of them. Our Momin Qureshi is following the latest developments on this one, joins us live now with more. Momin?
Yeah, those 200 plus Canadians are hoping to be heading home soon. A plane chartered by the Canadian government is on the ground in Japan and is expected to head home early this afternoon. But Federal Health Minister Patty Hajdu says anyone showing symptoms or who has tested positive for COVID-19 will have to stay behind.
Countries agree that it's best to care for people that have contracted the virus in the country in which they find themselves.
Meantime, the WHO has provided an update this morning, saying with the Director General saying that things are improving.
The data from China continue to show a decline in new confirmed cases. Once again, we're encouraged by this trend, but this is no time for complacency.
Reporting live, I'm Momin Qureshi.
This is 680 News. More fireworks at Queen's Park a day before a massive teacher strike in Ontario. The politicians getting heated as they continue to go back and forth on how to handle the demands of the teachers. Here's NDP leader Andrea Horvath.
Parents are very, very frustrated and they're feeling ignored by this government. Hillary wrote to us and to tell us about her child's experience with e-learning. And in her words, that experience has been a disaster. She said students with learning disabilities or difficulties like her child need FaceTime with their teachers. And they still struggle through these courses with that FaceTime. Except
That's why you can
thanks to the
mandate anybody has to
conservative
use a
tax, students
computer.
like Hillary's child have even fewer teachers in their schools and will only fall further and further behind. The education minister, meantime, says his primary goal is keeping kids in the classroom.
Speaker, parents are working harder. They give of themselves for their children. They pay significant amounts of their income to government, and they expect a better return on that investment. When 50% of students are not meeting the provincial math standard, how is it that this government and this legislature is not united to expect better for the next generation of our province? Speaker, we're building and modernizing our education system with a focus on ensuring every student is technologically fluent, is financially literate, is emotionally intelligent, and is ready for the jobs of tomorrow.
Emotionally intelligent. Oh.
Talks are continuing today between the province and the unions representing English Catholic teachers and French public teachers.
You're listening to 680 News. In Germany now, Germany's leader is vowing to fight ethnic divisions after a man shot and killed 9 people near Frankfurt.
Angela Merkel says the Frankfurt shootings exposed the poison of racism in German society. She promises everything will be done to investigate the circumstances of these terrible murders and pledges to stand up against those who seek to divide the country. A witness ran over from a cafe after he heard the first shots, initially assuming there had been an altercation between family members. But when he heard the second shots, he thought it was a terror attack. I'm Charles de Ledesma.
Disney's latest remake out next month is the first to earn a PG-13 rating.
Just my duty to protect my family.
The upcoming remake of Mulan getting a PG-13 rating. It's the first live-action Disney remake that's not PG. The MPAA marked it PG-13 because of sequences of violence. This marks a big departure from the recent Disney remakes, including Aladdin, Cinderella, and Beauty and the Beast, which were all PG, aimed at younger kids and families. And the cartoons that preceded them were all PG or G. And the original 1998 animated Mulan was rated G. The new live-action Mulan is in theaters March 27th. Jason Nathanson, ABC News. Hollywood.
Well, some of the best artists in this country are in Toronto to show off their works this week. I'm Jeff Holman with more on the Artist Project, which opens today.
It's called Canada's most anticipated contemporary arts fair. The Artist Project 2020 takes over the Better Living Centre at the X starting today, going right through the weekend, with a ton to see and do, according to Emily Jean Alexander, director of the event.
Thousands of artworks which you can see and buy at the show. In addition to programming, so stage programming, we have an art battle, there's tours that you can take, as well as large-scale installations.
Hold up. Brush strokes, light and shadow. If you have an eye for it, some incredible pieces to be had. Me, well, I'm like Joey on Friends.
Well, they painted quickly and usually outdoors, as his elusive subject was light itself.
Do you have any idea what you just said?
No, my mouth says the words, my brain is thinking monster trucks.
Wow. I'm Jeff Raholman.
Coming up in 30 seconds, a check on city streets and definitely some movement for gas tonight.
Today's news time, 12:09.
Introducing the all-new 2020 Ford Escape.
2020, baby! Oh, no!
With available head-up display technology.
Keep the head up!
And best-in-class second-row legroom.
Long legs!
People are really excited about the 2020 Ford Escape SE